The USL Championships Wednesday Night Soccer moves off the Strip in Las Vegas, home to Thunderstick's thousands of Wild fans. Cashman Field, home to Las Vegas Lights, one of the most entertaining sides in American soccer, but not always the winningest. They're always good here, though. They're going to need a little bit of everything going their way to knock off Phoenix Rising, the greatest story in American soccer right now, winners of 18 straight games. With Devin Kerr, Mike Watts, let's take a look at the Western Conference standings and what the current run of form means. If you're Las Vegas, you're not even in the top 10, but you're only 5 points off the pace. You get a win today, you're right back in the thick of it to try and get into the preliminary round of the USL playoffs. Meanwhile, if you're Phoenix Rising, 15 points clear of Fresno, and seemingly they've locked up the Western Conference regular season title. And with that in mind, Devin, let's look at what they do best.
It's easy to look at all the offensive boys up top and throw some regards their way, but you really have to take notice of what this starts from, and it's all from the back line, the goalkeepers, and more importantly, the rotation coming both on and off the ball. Notice the quick little one-touches that rotates all the way around. Great movement off the ball, touches outside. They've made their way all the way from the right side to the left, but they've maintained their shape and the ability to move forward. Let's speed it up a little bit, go to real time, and give you an idea of what they're capable of. Now, this is the 1-0 victory at HEB Park. Back earlier this season, a place where dreams go to die in Edinburgh, Texas. Instead, it's the dissecting ball right down the middle. Now, that is the only ball that Joey Farrell can pay if they want to continue this offensive movement going forward. Quick little touches down in the corner, a ball over the top to Adam John. Most of the passes coming in here are one-touch passes that just eat you alive. If you're Las Vegas Lights, you will have watched the tape. You will know what is coming at you. The good news is you are at home. The absolutely abysmal performances on the road are behind you. Your goal differential, plus 14 when you're playing in front of your own fans at Cashman Field. Negative 46 on the road. They're one of only 13 teams that have 2 losses or less in the USL Championship this year.
You said Rio Grande Valley is where dreams go to die. Many would argue Cashman Field has a very similar feel, and Eric Winalda says they love confetti. Will they see confetti tonight? Will they score some goals? Will they knock Phoenix off the tallest pedestal that's ever been built in the USL Championship? You gotta watch this one. Wednesday Night Soccer, Vegas and Phoenix in the desert, coming up next. Dolly and Dottie cannot possibly match this dabbing llama. It's Las Vegas and Phoenix Rising Wednesday Night Soccer. It is a circus always at Cashman Field. Phoenix 18 straight wins. And their lineup is going to look very different than what we've seen lately, but let's start with Las Vegas. Eric Wynalda in total making 3 changes, 1 required due to the red card last game to Junior Sandoval.
They've been rotating in and out this 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3 over the past few weeks, and to be honest, they've actually played quite well. A bit unfortunate with their recent results, but still fighting to retain relevance within the playoff chase. Really like the moves I've seen out of number 15, Brian De La Fuente. That was their captain they brought in to get this whole thing started. Unfortunately, injury has kept him out until the past 5 matches. TKO back in goal. Preston, 19 up top, looks to run rampant against this back line that has 6 changes overall to Phoenix Rising. Bjornathan in at left back, Mala and Farrell back at center back. The Wizard of Woz, Carl Wazinski, has not started since that 2-2 draw in league play against Colorado Springs. He'll look to get back to his winning ways. And of course, the reggae boy, Jason Johnson, back in the starting 11.
Johnson's first appearance in the starting 11 in months. It's good to see him back over the last week. If you're not excited for this one, I mean, come on. Phoenix, 18 straight wins. They've captivated a city, a state. Let's be frank, the American soccer landscape is talking about them. Didier Drogba's team a year ago. Phoenix Rising looking to protect that amazing winning streak away to one of the toughest venues in the league. Wednesday night soccer, Las Vegas Lights and Phoenix Rising. Devin Kerr, Mike Watts on hand. Cashman Field slowly filling in as James Musa puts it on the ground. Devin, let's talk about the players who aren't in the lineup for Phoenix. I mean, to an extent, it's shocking that they can field a lineup this good while missing as many players as they are. Calistri, great move. He goes down, ball gets out for a corner. No Asante, no Flemings in the starting order. Cochran, it's a group that Rick Schantz made pretty significant moves to as we see what Joey Calistri can do.
Joey Calistri getting moved over from the left side to the right. Absence of Solomon Asante, and when you talk to most managers, including Eric Wynalda, they'll tell you that their bench could probably be starters on most every other team in the USL Championship. It's what makes them so dangerous, and more so of the fact that they can rotate these pieces out and seemingly not miss a beat.
Corner lifted up by Bjornathan, maintained by Aguinaga. Shove at the back of Irvin Parra. De La Fuente. Up by Adam John. Play will come back. John in on that previous challenge. Devin, if you're Las Vegas, how do you win this game? Is it tactical? Is it great individual performances? What makes the difference?
Well, the problem for Las Vegas Lights is they haven't been able to replicate results on the road. So you can throw that out the window because you're home. So let's get that out of the way. And we talked about that in the open. They are so much better at home. Why is that? Eric Wynalda even admitted earlier this season that they would change their style based upon where their matches were taking place.
John Aguinaga, whose role may grow here in the next week or two with John Baquero out for this game, perhaps on the weekend. Driven away.
That's no longer the case anymore, and when you step back in, there is an irregularity in terms of how they want to play. If you take a look at what they've been able to do, they don't necessarily put the ball on the deck and move it regularly well. They can. They don't necessarily counterattack all the time. They can. There's no real blueprint for Las Vegas Lights. That's going to make it that much more difficult for Phoenix Rising on the scouting side of things. So when you take a look, where do you look to break this team down? They don't necessarily show you the same look. So for Phoenix Rising, they have to stick to their guns. But to counteract to the initial point, Las Vegas Lights, you have to remain very defensively sound. A lot of communication. Make sure that you're rotating back and forth. You have to win the individual battles. This is going to be 90 minutes and beyond. It is unlike anything that you have seen all season long, including that loss at Casino Arizona Field.
Gets away from Aguinaga, and you called him TKO at the outset. Thomas Olsen is a native of Las Vegas during Supporters Week. TKO on his back. Called it a dream come true to play for his hometown team. Waited till September last year to get his first start. Initially heard about the club expanding into the USL Championship when he was at the University of San Diego. Leaping through the challenge. Ball finds Edwin Rivas. Swept off his foot by Ledbetter. I've been really impressed by Austin Ledbetter, whose range of passing was something talked about often this week. John on the turn, stabbed away from him. And Jason Johnson.
Immediately you kind of get an idea of Phoenix Rising are willing to do that. Beautiful movement coming off the back line, quite impressive by Austin Ledbetter. As you see Luigi Mala tangling up in the middle. For a team that really likes to put the ball on the deck and knock it around, a bit of poetry in motion, they have no problem going back to their roots, which is that direct style of play, long balls, run and gun, just slam it down your throats. That's the movement coming from Ledbetter, trying to stretch the back line with Adam John up top. This relationship on the right-hand side could prove quite interesting. Austin Ledbetter basically moving himself into the backup conversation behind Dumbuya, who's been away on international duty, actually flying back today. And he's done well in his development, time at FC Tucson, so much so that he's actually been put on a Phoenix Rising contract. But now that Solomon Asante is not in front of you, how does that continue forth? Can Joey Calistri switch from the left, come all the way over to the right-hand side, and still maintain the quality of fluidity that we've seen in their performances in weeks past?
It's a Vegas foul from Irvin Parra. Lambert. Johnson. There's Ledbetter. Ledbetter. It's turned over in midfield. What can Preston do with it? Parra returns. Preston. Fair. Found the width. It's behind Fair. Farrell's got it.
Oh, Bjornathan bailed out a little bit there by lack of decision-making for Las Vegas Lights. Quality recovery. The defensive unit for Phoenix Rising. Already you're seeing something that Phoenix doesn't necessarily have the luxury when Solomon Asante is on the field. Yes, I said it, and what I'm referencing is Solomon Asante will primarily stay on the right-hand side. Now you can switch Jason Johnson and Joey Calistri to go back and forth.
Robinson, the long throw. Over the top of Preston. Something Phoenix was well aware of this week in training, the long throws. Mala. Ledbetter looking for Aguinaga again. Just hasn't been able to combine up that right-hand side yet. The feet of Parra, who's had some great years in the championship over the years. Parra curler, and he floats it high and wide. 10 goals, 5 assists this year. He had a 7-goal season with Tacoma Defiance, as they're now known, a couple of years ago.
As we mentioned, the last game that Carl Wazinski was in net, he's back on March 30th. Why not test the goalkeeper from distance and early? If I'm Eric Ronaldo, I'm telling my boys, continue to go after it. Pump some numbers on the back, especially with the inexperience on the back line. And that's not referencing their overall performances in general. It's the back four that are actually paired together. This is a pairing we have not seen out of Phoenix Rising all season long. You combine that with a goalkeeper that hasn't had regular repetitions in the starting 11, could prove troublesome.
Kevin Lambert. John, foot in there from Parra.
I commend you on that, by the way. Even I got it wrong the first time coming back.
I'm struggling with it. It was Kevon. That's what was decided by the PR staff and the announcers, and he was okay with it. The coaches called him that. And then it became a bit unclear. They said it rhymed with Devin on Twitter, but that rhymes with Kevin, which they said it didn't rhyme with. So they finally asked him, and it was
Kevin.
Kevin.
You just want a little bit of that island twang to it. I understand how that is.
I'm from Cleveland. That's a struggle.
Look, most of my life, I stood up in class or when I was trying out for teams, and it was Devon. So
Yeah.
I'm with him on that.
How many coaches did you not correct over the years?
Oh, no, they all got corrected. That's why I'm sitting here.
Johnson, a missile, gets lifted out. This will be a corner. Solomon Asante begins tonight on the bench. We're talking about a guy 4 goals off the league record, and yet it's more important to them to give him the rest he needs. 21 goals, 14 assists. We're talking maybe the most historic year this league has ever seen. I think at this point, we're running out of adjectives. Corner, Phoenix, 10th minute. Was caught by Olsen.
Still 7 games to go within that argument. So not necessarily sure that we're going to see Solomon Asante tonight if Phoenix Rising have their way. They won't have to pull him from the bench. Already we are seeing true to form. Ronaldo that they're not going to overly press their numbers up top. They're going to sit back, try and maintain their defensive shape and just counter here and there if possible. Early opportunity around the 5th minute that have to make better decisions on, and that's where you get Phoenix Rising, is that they're not going to give you a lot of opportunities. So when they are few and far between, you have to make a team pay. San Antonio felt like they had a good shot over the weekend. And similar to what you're seeing in the opening 11 minutes here, they couldn't close things out, and utter brilliance from the Ghanaian down the stretch from a set piece opportunity. Put the dagger on that one.
Solo magic, it was called. I mean, one of the all-time great free kicks in league history, and I don't mean that as an exaggeration. Mala. Ledbetter. Calistri. Ledbetter around the outside. Attempted bicycle lifted over by Lambert. Well, no one would be pronouncing his name wrong if he puts that in.
Beautifully done on the little 1-2 down in the corner. And the only thing you can criticize is Ledbetter's quick hesitation. He gets a first step. He puts this a bit more direct. Still, you can't complain about the fact that he basically puts this on a silver platter for Lambert, almost in the back of the net by the Jamaican.
They think he has a borderline limitless potential and a limitless future.
People listening will hear the nitpickiness. That's where this team has gotten, where it's no longer, okay, what are they capable of? It's what level are they capable of when it comes to quality. So when you see the 1-2 down in the corner, I'm criticizing, why doesn't Ledbetter go first? I promise you, when they go back and watch the tape, Rick Shantz, Pete Ramage, Blair, they're all sitting there going, okay, you need to take this and make it a positive first step instead of the little tuck inside and then down into the channel. That's why Solomon Asante takes the game to the next level. As soon as he plays it, he's already exploding down in the corner.
Now, Devin, you're nitpicking. You last year, borderline famously said you thought FC Cincinnati wasn't putting together great performances while they were on a then record unbeaten stretch in the Eastern Conference, and you took a little flack for that, and then they went out in the second round of the playoffs. When you look back now, how do you feel about the way Phoenix is playing? Does it feel like the wheels are coming off right now? It doesn't feel that way at all to me.
Not whatsoever. This team is night and day compared to FC Cincinnati, and I say that with the highest respect and words going towards that camp. When you looked at what FC Cincinnati did, there were a lot of individualistic performances that came out of that run. That 23-game unbeaten streak, the record-setting wins that Phoenix has now surpassed, where you would get guys like a Kenny Walker, like a Manu Ledesma, who would have these ridiculous games. Corbin Bone even involved in that. Forrest Lasso with game winners on the back post. But it was always one or two guys. That's not the case with this team here. When you break them down, it's great goalkeeping by Zach Lubin. It's beautiful midfield play by Aguinaga, John Baquero, Kevin Lambert. Whoever it may be, it's not just one or two guys. And that goes back to earlier on this season where when they didn't necessarily start that great, 1-0-4, 2 losses through their first 10 games, people were calling for Rick Schanz's head. But everything coming out of their organization was trust the process. We've changed our style of play. Now they can look back and go, how do you like me now? Because it is that impressive when you put it all together and watch it on tape.
Yeah, you think back to the early stages of this year, they had 7 different game-tying goals in those first 5 games. So playing from behind quite a lot. Got to the point where Rick Schanz was trying to remind his wife, hey, stay off Twitter. That's for everybody's benefit. Devin, stay off Twitter, buddy. Yeah. It's for your benefit. It is a free kick here for Las Vegas. They're not quite as vocally proficient at set pieces as they were last year. They would shout that from the mountaintops. Still can make you pay off set pieces like this. It's Irvin Parra. Fair. Tap further, Parra. Farrell dealt with that, Calistri. Recovered by Las Vegas. Preston looking to pull the trigger. Return to sender, Preston again, and Wazinski. Quick distribution. Nearly slipped through. Sliding again, Vermeer on the ball. He arrived from Nashville mid-season. Here's Wazinski. Lambert, Gold Cup veteran for Jamaica. Turned over to Preston. Parra. It's Bjornathan that got in there. And on to Aguinaga. Johnson striding forward, trademark speed all the way across beyond Calistri. They feel like De La Fuente there on the left-hand side changes everything for them defensively, stopping a guy like Calistri or Asante if he had played.
That was the matchup that everybody was anticipating. Ryan De La Fuente coming back from injury against Solomon Asante, but just keep an eye on him, just like he did on Joey Calistri. Not necessarily going to be as fleet of foot as Calistri is, but plays the positioning game so very well. Excellent when it comes to his decisions.
Ledbetter. Musa. Parra tripped up by Aguinaga.
Aguinaga frustrated at himself, felt like should have done better in his decision-making process. Las Vegas Lights trying to play out of the back, and one of the hospital balls, you can see right there, just steps right on Irvin Parra. Felt like it should have been quicker in. Moments ago, same sentiment shared by Las Vegas Lights and their inability to connect the dots right around the top of the 18. Both teams just not as crisp as they'd like to be on the offensive end.
Souza, couple options percolating. Parra. Rivas wasn't nearly advanced. They had thought there's the electric company off behind Carl Wazinski. And a throw for Phoenix deep in their own end. Tosses in his fresh select ball. Select, the official ball supplier of the USL Championship. Many of the finest leagues in the world since 1947. Select has been the leader in soccer ball quality and innovation. For the latest Select products and special offers, visit selectsportamerica.com. And it nearly took an unprecedented Select bounce. Wazinski tall enough to snag that. Six changes for Phoenix tonight compared to their 1-0 win over San Antonio last game. Calistri, one of the holdovers, putting on the moves here. Calistri off the step back, and Musa! Well, that's really not Musa's game. He's only got 2 goals this year, but it was nearly a laser beam.
His first one came in the initial match against RGV at Casino Arizona Field in similar fashion. That left foot of his right at the top of the 18, just looking to pick out the upper corner. Really good look. Little fade coming across the body, difficult to do. Thomas Olsen just shifting to his left-hand side, and as you mentioned, not normally going to be playing that high of a line, but when you've compressed the field so low, as Las Vegas Lights have, Phoenix Rising pretty much have their entire back line sitting about 50 yards from net.
Mala has to deal with that. Chance to serve there for Rivas. Floated long, skips up on Olsen. Olsen. Torres. And skipped into the wing. De La Fuente. Got that cross away, settled in the box. Can Preston get the turn? Rivas from distance.
Pretty ball movement by Las Vegas Lights. Excellent discipline until the last movement. It's well done by Preston. Picks his head up, and notice, Rivas, you've got plenty of options. 2 runners on the back post. Irvin Parra, one of the USL Championships lethal occupants that you could have easily picked out, or even put it right back down into the corner to swing it into the middle. Selfish play, pulling the trigger from about 30 yards out.
Lambert. A lot better now. Phoenix, the lion's share of the possession. That's what we were told to expect. Musa the pressure, now the press arrives. Better. They looked at him as extra depth at outside back potentially this year when he signed with Tucson. He's had a very good year. Musa for Calistri, and there's De La Fuente. Again, you mentioned it, maybe not the most fleet of foot, but positioned well, pokes it free.
That's what you have to do. When you don't have a massive amount of speed at your disposal, you just have to play the angles game. He gets it right every time. Las Vegas Lights have to be careful in the middle. What you're seeing out of the 2 holding midfielders, Vinny Vermeer is dropping just a bit deeper and allowing Christian Torres to get in front of him. I don't mind that look if you want to sit one when you start to move into the offensive half, but defensively, you're going to create unneeded depth, and you're going to allow the 2 attacking midfielders for Phoenix to slide in between you.
Bjornathan. Ooh. Preston sending that in Rick Schant's general direction. A couple of the assistants had to scatter. The assistants for Phoenix, some former players under Schantz and previous administrations.
scrimmage. And this Rambo just along his right side a second ago, had a nice little glaring look Preston's direction.
Played long, Johnson heads it down. John is making that run down the middle, and Olsen there. Let's not just, it wasn't just Rambo. The entire bench gave Preston a look.
I had to single someone out.
Blair Gavin was actually the calmest head among the group. Phoenix last USL Championship loss. The first week of May, believe it or not. 18 straight victories, the reigning Western Conference champions. They appear ready to take the USL Championship's regular season champion trophy. They could seal that up next week. Think back to last year against Richmond Kickers. FC Cincinnati did it the last week of September. This is struck from distance. Never challenged Wazinski.
Again, they're trying to challenge the goalkeeper a little bit. It's a bit of frustration coming out of Las Vegas Lights as well. When you chase so often, you feel like there's a bit of pressure that's being relieved and some spaces kindly being given to you. You say, okay, why not? I'll have a go from distance. But you've worked so hard to get the ball back. Put it down, continue to knock it around, maintain some of that beautiful discipline you've seen on the defensive side of the ball, and just allow some of that respite for your back line. Move a higher line and let the opposition, the visitors, chase a little bit.
Vegas continuing to hang in here. Tune in to ESPN3 September the 18th. We got a potential Eastern Conference playoff preview. One of the league's top defenses, St. Louis Football Club, welcomes high-powered New York Red Bulls to the Lou. See it all September the 18th during Wednesday Night Soccer, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN3. Played through for Para. St. Louis has tumbled down the standings. Red Bulls 2 hanging on to first place in the East. Be a fun matchup next week.
Indy 11, all those games in hand have moved themselves right up the Eastern Conference. Nashville, up and down recently. 202 last 4, occupying the 4th spot. And to your point, you actually gave the Pittsburgh Riverhounds a little shout out on social media, the ridiculous run that they've been on.
Oh. Preston rolling over Farrell. Little collision there. Rivas keeps it. Defeated De La Fuente. Well, we heard Las Vegas wanted to pick and choose their moments, when to kind of come out of that umbrella-like shell in front of their goal, and they want to go possess the ball and try and take it to Phoenix a little bit more, keep their identity.
It's not a bad idea. And when you're 28 minutes in, Phoenix has been setting most of the tempo, a lot of ball movement, and they're, you don't want to use this term unnecessarily, but wasting a little bit some of their energy. I don't mean that in a negative sense, but they've been working harder. And yes, Las Vegas Lights are running, but a lot of movement off the ball. That's where Phoenix Rising is at its best. And now just maybe a chance for some momentum to switch over to the Lights. Ronaldo admitting that things maybe not necessarily playing out the way that he would like them to, but he'll come to understand, much like everybody else in the USL Championship, sometimes the tools at your disposal aren't necessarily what you think they're going to be, and you have to tailor your efforts down the line. That's exactly what's going on for Las Vegas Lights.
I think back a year and a half ago, Phoenix had to undergo some of that too. Header steered back, and the attempt at the volley never came off for Christian Torres. Lifted over by Jonathan Torre. He's really come into his own this year. slide in, never had a chance. Mala tackled by Para.
One of the bigger issues here is the follow-through on Para, and it's not fault on the side of Luigi Mala, but when Para goes down, he's already falling to his right-hand side. When he comes back across, the entire momentum of the biggest center back is going to come down right on Irvin Para. Good sportsmanship between those two, and we'll get right back at it.
Everybody clear now. Into the 30th minute. Vegas well aware this is a showcase game for them. Message to the team in the lead up, one-off game. Don't just show you can compete, show you can knock off one of the best teams in the league. Got a ways to go. Lambert for Aginaga. Aginaga getting the cross away off the back of the head of Johnson.
There's actually a tiny little deflection by Moby Fair so that Jason Johnson cannot get a touch on this in the back post, at least not one to go after Thomas Olsen. Really well done by the outside back, and someone that we haven't necessarily addressed yet, Moby Fair, a guy who, to be honest, probably suits this team a bit more playing in the number 6 based upon the way things have played out and some injuries here and there. Garcia Lopez not in the lineup tonight. Moby Fair rotates to the outside back position. He'll be familiar with it though when he does play in the holding midfielder spot. As Vegas pushes forward, he'll actually sit and move to the outside back and help out this back line in transition.
Fair, the son of a Swiss father and a Japanese mother. Spent most of his life outside the country. Crossed by John. As far as Aginaga, tries to tee this up. Calistri. Johnson. Bjornathan. Pursuit continued. Phoenix will take a corner from that.
John motioning to the boys on the left side. He wanted this ball whipped in early, and I can't blame him. Both Jason Johnson and Bjornathan on the left-hand side kind of had their peripherals closed off just for a second. Adam John was wide open on the back post and couldn't whip it in quick enough.
Aginaga will take him from this far side. Curls in a good one, punched away. Johnson, who had the goal of the year last year by most standards, looking to recreate it in just his second game back off injury.
And you take a look at where this team is going to be successful defensively. Keep an eye on all the Las Vegas Lights jerseys sitting deep in a block. There's Adam John on the back post that we're talking about on the right side of your screen. Wanted this ball whipped in, but all of the black shirts occupying so much space. Phoenix want to break them down. They got to up the tempo a little bit.
It's all 11 within 30 yards. De La Fuente, high arcing effort, and again the volley for Souza didn't reach his foot. None of these players are interested in taking the ball down and having a nice, patient touch. They all want to knock home a wild top 10 level goal. Eric Wadaldit coaching his team here from the near sideline. Ball whipped in. De La Fuente had a good chance to knock that down. Cross now, Rivas. Kept alive by Robinson. On the turn, flick toward goal. Wazinski is there.
First true challenge for Carl Wazinski on frame. That's Preston just outside the top of the 18. Notice second, third, fourth efforts. That's what it's going to take, where everybody has to be all hands on deck. Phoenix Rising, just like Las Vegas Lights, more than capable of carrying quality disposition defensively. Sousa getting involved in the act as well.
Agi Naga slid right onto Adam John to return 10 yards further up. Look at all those Phoenix fans. Devin, I can't see real good. Are those Phoenix Rising fans over there?
It's hard with the electric company in the background. Let's change of play by James Musa. Bandidos and
Agi Naga off the chest. Torres helping to deal with that.
Fury on the road as well, and superfan Monica McPherson.
She got some love during Supporters Week.
How could you not? Only missed 2 games, club's inception.
As Phoenix Rising or going back to Arizona United?
I believe it's going back.
Oh, wow. I call her Queen. Most call her First Lady, I guess, right?
Term of endearment either way.
Yeah, no matter what. Free kick here won by Preston. Musa, slap of the hand. I will say this, Las Vegas last year picked up a wild reputation for cards and fouls and wild all over the place circus-like play on the field. Eric Winalda trying to squash a lot of that, but I think still dealing with some of the after effects of a reputation you pick up.
Understandably so, and how do you play out of that? It's just performance-based. You have to make sure that you don't give either the opposition or the referee a reason to second-guess you. That's what they've experienced over the past few matches, where even a misstep as tiny as 1 in the opening 10 minutes, 2 at the end of the game, can cause disruption. That's what they've run into.
Para. I'll get all the way out, but you know, Devin, I think there is an element of they don't want to be on the wrong side of things. You're aware that referees know what you've been known for previously. But so far we've seen Phoenix and Las Vegas little gentlemanly things after fouls and perceived fouls and slides and such. They both seem to be on the same page tonight.
This game continues on for another 30, 40 minutes like this. It may not be the same sentiment in the second half.
Fair enough. Ledbetter. Be interested to know what commentator Devin would say about player Devin in years past.
Depends on the age.
Is 18-year-old Devin a little dirty?
18-year-old Devin needed to start talking to.
Cleared away from Lambert. A couple of lights go down. Para. Tug at the backside of Preston. Professional foul. Professional foul there for sure.
Phoenix right now just not as crisp as we've seen them in games past. Some of that could be due to the lack of chemistry of some of the players on the field. Luigi Mala had done very well for himself moving into the 11 and a couple games off. Tom Jonathan getting the chance. Austin Ledbetter. A couple games now with the absence of Dumbuya. And they're starting to take 2-3 touches when really only 1 is necessary. I talked about the tempo to have success. They just have to pick it up a little bit. The opportunities are there. They're just slowing the game down.
This is off the training ground. Cross headed up and over from Gabe Robinson. 6'2" center back from Valencia, California, getting up there, getting a good piece of it.
It's either got to be Robinson or Torrey if you're going to whip this one in. And Irvin Power does a really good job recognizing, like you said, Mike, something they've practiced multiple times before. Sousa down on the touchline and just opens up a bit of space. You get to restructure exactly what it's going to look like when it comes in. Everybody in a Rising uniform has to turn their heads, find out exactly where their mark is at. Almost executed to a T.
Listri in pursuit. John won it. John get this lobbed up over the crossbar.
Knows it. He had Jason Johnson on the back post. Mistake out of the back line by Las Vegas Lights.
Scoreless in the 39th minute. This is game 28 for Phoenix Rising. You think about the history of champions. Phoenix making a pretty concerted effort to be one of those teams, Devin, that actually wins the title in the playoff structure after they win the regular season. That doesn't always happen historically.
Look at years past. Let's just go recent. 2018. FC Cincinnati, second round exit to Red Bull 2. Of course, we now know that there is a unspoken agreement that Red Bull 2 and Louisville are going to play in the Eastern Conference Final every single year.
Yeah, that might be over. I mean, look, even beyond the USL Championship, sometimes you look through 27 games, you got a pretty good idea who's actually going to win the title. Of course, with the European Big Five leagues, you actually don't really think about a playoff structure. Ultimately, this is a Phoenix side that's sort of right in the middle of where the best teams in Europe were at this point in their season points-wise.
Little foreshadowing of what is to come on how things played out.
Take a look at this. Juventus, through 27 games, still had lost last year, 75 points. I'm not saying that Phoenix is any of these teams. Let's all pump the brakes.
Yeah.
But they're right there where Manchester City was through 27 games in the Premier League last year.
That is serious work.
That was 13 minutes on Wikipedia, boss. But it is sort of an interesting counterweight. And you know, look, they're 15 points up in the West. There are a few teams in the East who probably are a little bit closer, but
also remember, those teams don't have to go through a playoff format. there's the big one right there.
And Devin's over here like Liverpool's going to be there next year.
I don't know about that, but I hope so.
I know you hope so.
I'm sure Rick Shantz would have a conversation with me about his Arsenal boys, though.
Well, I mentioned to him, you know, like Arsene Wenger's whole thing, you know, the Invincibles, that carries you for over a decade. Calistri, Olsen let that run across and knocked out there. I was asking what it meant to him and the franchise to be able to, you know, pull up a win streak of this magnitude. He said, you know, look, Bayern and Man City sort of had winning streaks of that ilk, so I'll be on a Trivial Pursuit card. It'll be Pep and Rick Shantz. Corner whipped in by Aginaga. Vegas counter. If you were an assistant coach, would you be going, yeah, coach, it's going to be you and Pep? You wave that off. I'm egging them on.
Yeah, I'm not having that conversation. This organization takes great pride in the names that you're referencing, though. I'm sure they've had a couple jokes in the behind closed doors.
I think so.
Especially Pete Ramage, being a Newcastle boy. You can just see with Las Vegas Lights trying to take the air out of the game once again. Joey Calistri extending himself all the way up. We haven't necessarily seen a massive press as we have from Phoenix Rising in the past. Very disciplined in their efforts as well, and they know that they don't want to overexpose themselves. At the minute they stretch themselves too thin, you get balls like that where Brian De La Fuente has the opportunity to play into Rivas, and the big issue is whether or not they can get that man right there with the ball out in front of him for getting himself in trouble. But Preston running downhill is a good look for Eric Ronaldo and Las Vegas Lights.
Lambert going into Preston. A little frustration after the fact.
And he doesn't need to dive in here. I mean, it's a quick turn. Lambert shouldn't have hesitated to begin with. Just continue his run, get goal side, and hold the run up. You've got support on the interior. Just keep him between you and the goal, and you're fine. Instead, you've gifted Las Vegas Lights another opportunity just before halftime. We saw before the way that this ball was whipped in. Looks like they're going to change who's actually going to stand over it. They'll go the likes of Edwin Rivas this time. They were looking for Jabin Torre and Gabe Robinson the past two efforts. Though don't sleep on Irvin Parra. We've seen them go near post on some trickery in the past.
Edwin Rivas, one of the players Eric Ronaldo knows from previous stops at Cal FC. Ball whipped across him. Wazinski snares that with his 6'5" frame. Coming up at halftime here on Wednesday Night Soccer, we've got news from around the league. highlights and your first half stats all coming up at the break here on ESPN 3. Ball ripped through right at Olsen. Olsen, a very different goalkeeper than the one they had a year ago. Last year is what I think colloquially is called a sweeper keeper.
It was interesting.
Yeah.
You could see the talent.
Yeah.
Just needed to reel it in a little bit.
Ricardo Ferrigno forever.
Putting that on the back of your jersey.
That's my Culture Week
Respect.
jersey for
Okay.
sure. Shouldn't be much, if any, stoppage time here. This game has moved pretty briskly at this point. Lambert, Aguinaga for John, but De La Fuente was there. If you're Phoenix, are you disappointed with this 45 minutes?
No, but they know what's wrong. You just saw a glimpse of what they're capable of. Those quick little movements and the triangles at the top. They speed it up. Las Vegas Lights are in trouble. The minute that they take their foot off the gas, it's the 2-3 touches. That allows the home squad to get behind the ball and really set that defensive block.
And for Las Vegas, team that allowed the 15th most goals in the Western Conference last year, 74. So much better defensively this year. They've allowed 31 fewer goals, just 7 games to go. And they've held Phoenix scoreless at the break. Eric Winalda, U.S. men's national team legend, and Rick Schantz meeting pregame. Las Vegas, decent effort or two. Phoenix looking for the spectacular. But at the break, Phoenix and Vegas are level.
Here we go, fans. Got another special one for you. Brought to you by only the Las Vegas Lights FC. We call this game King of the Ditch. You see the yellow rope in the shape of, I don't know. What in the 7 contestants in the bubble ball. Is that what we call it? What do we call that? 7 contestants outside the rope.
Halftime here on Wednesday Night Soccer. Midfield off the Vegas Strip. Las Vegas and Phoenix level at the break. Phoenix trying to avoid their first blemish since the start of May. They're on an 18-game win streak with Devin Kerr, Mike Watts. You've got your goal of the month, save of the month coming up. We'll tell you about Red Bull 2 and St. Louis, our next Wednesday night soccer. But Devin, let's start with the Culture Collection. I know you're excited. Just real quick before we see the big unveiling, which one excited you most?
Ottawa Fury. Let's go. Are you listening? Carl Howarth, Popovich, somebody listen to me. I need one of those jerseys.
All right, here we go. Culture Collection, USL Championship, New Jerseys.
Da Costa.
The attempt at an amazing goal! Or maybe a goal of the year candidate from Rodrigo da Costa.
This sign as well.
That's a good point. Let's wait and see if they do.
As Kamara absolutely flies past Tete for pace. Here's Kamara! And a brilliant save from Cody Mizell. Mohamed Kamara is causing problems.
Mikey Rowe now. Rowe takes it on and it's in! What a strike! And Tormenta, they strike first! Ontivero. Silva will have a hit! Oh, good save by Mejimadu.
Safe.
Hilton goes charging through, has to go! And what a strike it is from...
Oh, that's sensational.
Oh, what a strike!
Saved by Bedelson. The Orban lets it fly. More on the save. All right, it's going to be lit again next Wednesday. St. Louis Red Bull 2, meanwhile, still got a half to play here. Las Vegas and Phoenix on level terms at the break with Devin Kerr, Mike Watts. Let's take a look at the news and notes you got to know about from around the USL Championship. 6 weeks to go. Red Bull 2 and Phoenix Rising, top of the East and West. The Culture Collection we've talked about. We're going to see a bit of Red Bull next Wednesday night, Devin. They're very impressive.
Excited to see what they do too. St. Louis FC on fire. Finally getting it back on track. 3 wins in a row. New Mexico United in the West, they're still struggling to find form. Red Bull 2, by the way, coming off a really interesting loss to Indy 11. They get an opportunity at home now to take on Charlotte, the sweet spot.
Birmingham might make the same argument. Hartford really can't make that argument at all. It is halftime here between Las Vegas Lights and Phoenix Rising. We just saw some bumper balls out there. Cash is out there, Dolly and Dottie enjoying the night. It's scoreless at the break. Show you the best from the first half after this.
Tom from ESPN3 doing his thing. Make sure you watch him down. DJ Ocho looks like he does this a few times a day. Literally just taking his time. We have about another 60 minutes. 60 seconds. I haven't seen anyone finish an entire tamale quite yet. Who you guys think's gonna win this? Come on, Black Fans. Who you guys got? What we got? We got one lady representing. We got DJ Ocho. We got Tom Trexler from ESPN3. All right, I think we're about 2 tamales in. Just about a minute left. Yes, I'm giving you guys another minute. I'm giving you another minute to pick up the pace. Cash, what you think? What you think? Wash it down with that. Let's go. Also, let me get it back. They're still going. DJ Ocho, what in the world? You're throwing out tamales? Who wants tamales? Oh, this is going to be a match.
Scoreless at the halftime break. Still no confetti. The lights are on at Cashman Field, a stadium that was built back in 1983, and Vegas now primary tenant at their home here. The last frontier, they call it. Las Vegas is a professional sports town. Let's show you the highlights from the first half. And Devin, we take a look at why this game is still scoreless.
There's going to be a recurring theme for the home squad, and it's inability to make a good decision, especially when they moved into the final third. A lot of half chances from distance. That would be early, that would be often, that would basically be all they would be able to do in the opening 45 minutes. Beautiful 1-2 down in the corner for the visiting squad. How about Kevin Lambert on the back post? Highlight worthy, yes. Couldn't finish it off though. And their ability to decide exactly what direction they wanted to go. Notice the quick little touches that they would get into in and around the top of the 18. When they would go that direction, they would find more chances for themselves. Otherwise, it was basically what you saw at the Las Vegas Lights on the other end, where it's a little half chance just outside. James Lewis steps up. He tries to have a go from distance and being selfish at times. We talked about this, where pick your head up. Look, you've got a ball by Brian De La Fuente down in the corner. You can play it to him, then square it off. You've also got a trailing run by Irvin Parr on the back post. Instead, Edwin Rivas decides to decide his luck. It's going to take something super special from distance to take down Carl Wazinski, even if he hasn't played a game since the third match of the season. All of it was half. All of it was from distance. And there was this one at the tail end of it from Sousa, but really nothing truly threatening from the home squad.
And later on, they look to get something going off set pieces. Steered wide by Robinson, and would lead us into the halftime break at a scoreless draw, which, of course, for Phoenix would still be disappointing. It would end 18 straight wins. Devin, the problem for both teams is nothing's on target yet. Phoenix has held more of the ball, created more overall shots. They just need that last little pass, last combination, and they can break Las Vegas down.
Quicker tempo, quicker touches. That's real simple for Phoenix Rising. That will be the conversation coming out of their locker room. They will understand that when they moved over half field, they had some good looks when they sped that look up. The problem is they've toned it down a lot. You allow Las Vegas to sit back. For the Lights, I actually didn't mind a lot of what I saw out of them. The problem is that when they moved over half field, Eric Ronaldo was screaming at his boys. He said they had to do better. You have to play the appropriate pass instead of playing selfish soccer and going for strikes like distance. I get it. Everybody wants to be on a highlight tape night after night. Tonight is not that night. Tonight is night where you band together as a team and go after the big boys of Phoenix Rising.
Devin, let's take a look at the upcoming schedule for Las Vegas. Playoffs essentially start now. I mean, this is murderer's row down the stretch.
Going to be quite difficult. The good news is including tonight's game, 4 out of the next 6 are at Cashman, so that's good. The problem is when you go to Austin Bold, they've only dropped points twice this season. At Colorado Springs, not overly concerned with that one. You know, altitude can always be a difficult one, but you're still turning the corner coming back home against two teams that are, they're right there in the thick of things. Reno trying for that second and third spot with Fresno. That's starting to slip away, though they got back on track last night. And San Antonio FC and Darren Powell thought they had Phoenix last week. A lot of people thought they had Phoenix.
Yeah, it sure looked like it 80 minutes in. Here's a look at what's upcoming for Phoenix Rising. Back to Casino Arizona Field on the 14th. Take on LA Galaxy 2. Then they're away to Fresno, away to New Mexico, away to a Portland team. It's been in the playoff picture most of the year, Devin. I don't know, if they get through this one, you could see it getting to 20, but seeing it get to 23, that's a big ask.
4 out of the next 5 on the road, and that Los Dos game will be interesting. When they played in LA last time, they had a couple guys from LA Galaxy coming in, so I'll be curious to see how they handle that rotation. Portland Timbers, too, you can make the same argument. And don't sleep on the last game of season, Energy FC. That'll be another one that'll be a dogfight. Steve Cook's boys have been up and down. We said they were in the 4th spot before. They're down in 10th. OKC, El Paso, all of them vying for that last spot. San Antonio FC. This will go down to the wire for everybody.
The bench for Phoenix includes the potential league MVP. Junior Flemings looks like he may come on here. His warm-up is off. Devin, we were asking how Solomon Asante can get even better this year. I mean, we're talking about an all-time season regardless of level. I mean, it's really spectacular.
You take a look at what he's been able to do. Sometimes he can actually push too much. That's what you saw against San Antonio FC, where he has such high regard for the praise that's being given to this team. Yes, there are a lot of individual accolades, but a lot is asked of him in that fashion. He pushes that to the side. He thinks this is a collective group effort, though he can push himself to the umpteenth degree at times, and really overdo it. That's what happened early on in the match. Wasn't able to get it done. But down the stretch, if you put him up against anybody else in the USL Championship in a pressure-packed situation, find me somebody that can compose themselves and replicate something as that from Solomon Asante in the dying moments of a match.
That's enough for Jason Johnson. On comes Junior Flemings.
Are we at time now? Sorry.
For Jason Johnson, that is a game management by Rick Shantz. You have to nurse him back to health. And although training, he's done quite well for himself.
We're ready now, David.
Came on as a substitute last game. They say that they were going to push him a bit further this time out, 45 minutes. Thought maybe they might try and go after 55 or 60. Though the way that the game has gone, Rick Shantz wants some fresh legs in there and feels like he might be able to go after Moby Fair at the right back position in the likes of Junior Flemings.
All right, here we go, second half. Here's your change, Flemings for Johnson. For Flemings, his 23rd appearance, 5th off the bench. Referee trying to settle things here. You know, Devin, you saw that great goal by Solomon Asante, and you talked to Eric Winalden. He's, as he was at Fox and at Sirius XM, some things don't change, unafraid to express an opinion. He felt maybe they over-celebrated. He felt like maybe he'd see a different lineup tonight, and he certainly has. He's got his crystal ball out there. He felt like his team would put together a good performance. See if this holds. Or Phoenix does what they've done 2 of the last 3 games and bag multiple goals in the final 10 minutes of games. 1 against San Antonio, 3 against Tacoma. Flemings off the mark there. Picked up by Olsen.
That's the other thing you got to think about is you just start the second half. Junior Flemings comes on as a substitute. So you put on pretty impressive first half performance. You've still got some really talented guys on the bench. Solomon Asante sitting there. And they can obviously go to him if need be. We said they don't want to unnecessarily, but we'll use the little Ghanaian. You put in so much effort and still all that firepower on the bench. I mean, it's defeating a little bit if you're a lights player.
Pressure there at the back of Rivas. Won by Calistri. Looking to put his full weight into this game. Musa. Bjornathan. It's a good-looking ball. Steered out. Of course, we're hearing that Eric Winalda, during his walk-off interview at the break in stadium, had predicted a Phoenix own goal. I don't know if Rick Shantz heard that or if someone misheard that and is playing telephone with me, but those are mighty big words.
Just keep an eye on Adam and John here. The first couple times we've seen basically do exactly what he's doing now, lurking and then quick rotation to the back. They'll do the same thing with Joey Farrell. Maybe time to switch things up a little bit.
Corner whipped in away from one, but Farrell took an effort at it after Lambert missed, and then a high arm and a yellow card coming out to Calistri.
Joey Calistri, not necessarily sure. He was trying to pull a professional on this one. Again, the quick little touches just not there, and Joey Farrell trying to make something out of nothing. Watch on the quick counterattack here. Joey Calistri coming back across. Okay, yep. Goes right after Irvin Parra. Space to be had. Numbers starting to push forward for the lights, and Calistri end up in the book. But now an extended conversation with some of the boys on Las Vegas Lights, just running their mouths a little bit here. Didn't like what they saw.
Now, Devin, I think what might frustrate some Las Vegas players, and you hear rumblings around the league from other coaches, and especially last year, as Rick Shantz looks on, the Phoenix Rising head coach, there is an element of they feel sometimes like they are wronged because of the reputation they carry, and that sometimes that reputation maybe protects other teams as well. So a hand to the face is unintentional, but if you're arguing there, you're not going to get a red card off that play.
David Barry made the correct decision.
I agree.
There's a counterattack, professional foul, hand across the face, neck, whatever you want to call it, yellow card, move on. There needs to be no other words that are going on right now from either side, to be honest.
Preston went into the challenge of Musa.
And now the gamesmanship starts, as we mentioned earlier, that all the polite banter back and forth has been pushed to the wayside come second half when things really start to heat up.
Lambert, that's a good ball, came off of fair. Preston looking to make his mark. That's off the mark quite a bit. He's pointing for a corner. He thought that had deflected en route. You think about Las Vegas right now, they're sort of in that place in 14th where you're still 5 points from not just the playoffs. I mean, you could host a home playoff game with 5 points based on where the goal difference goes. So really, they're more like 6 points out of that position. But, Devin, you know, they're having conversations about what options we're picking up. He said he's had some really difficult conversations, Eric Winalda, with his players in Vegas over the last few days. And some heads did drop when he said, I'm realizing some guys just aren't going to make the cut here. Phoenix looking to splay one side to the other. Settled by Ledbetter. Calistri working inside and lifted away. Preston dropped by Musa. Cleanly won the ball.
Just the follow through. You see the brilliant spril by Solomon Asante. Great skill on the follow through by James Musa on Preston. And this tackle in the middle of the field just leaves a stinging mark to him. And interesting how Eric Winalda was able to dive a bit deeper on his comments and also related that to the playing style in general, saying that, you know, I just had to understand I couldn't play the way that I wanted to with the tools at my disposal. And, you know, there's a harsh reality that coaches coming into the USL Championship run into. You heard the same thing out of El Chalice when he and his son, Isidro Sanchez, came in the 2018 season, that they took the quality of league for granted. They thought it was going to be a lower level. That's not the case. I'm not saying that Eric Winalda did that. He's just thinking that they might have been able to play a bit more impressive football, and that just didn't play out the way he wanted to.
And he said, maybe, look, I maybe took on too many projects this year. And you take for granted that by the end of the year, you don't think you're going to be coaching every little nit along the way. And at this point, he still is with some players. We also heard a really similar sentiment from Nikola Popovic last year. The possession style he wanted and it succeeded with. Preston continuing after it. Waz picks it up. Wazinski barking at the AR. And then you see them this year, now that Nikola Popovic has gauged the league, found the players that fit his system. Totally different roster now.
And understand, for Las Vegas Lights, this is a complete turnaround from a stylistic viewpoint of what this was in 2018.
They already have more points than they did last year with 7 games to go.
Yeah, it's really impressive what they've been able to do, and for them, it's, you know, you hear this out of a lot of squads, but the regularity of it. You know, can you start to do it a bit more day in and day out? And let's be honest here, if you take 2 of their games on the road and turn them into wins, whether it's a draw or loss and turn them into wins, this team is right there on the hunt for a top 4 spot.
I mean, the staff feels they've left 17 points on the table, whether it's through their own misfortune or misfortune cast upon them in their view. 17 points is probably, if you get everything to go your way,
yeah.
right?
Now you're putting yourself in the argument that you should be sitting right next to Fresno. Don't necessarily see that happening.
But no one picks up all the points they think they're going to get. If you realistically, with another few bounces or things going your way, pick up another 7.
Yeah, 7, 8, 9, 10, somewhere in that area.
You're talking about a team that right now is in 5th place in the Western Conference. We're talking about the comeback story of the year. Flemings off the bench at halftime. Take old team on. He will here. Flemings! A touch from Olsen, just enough to steer it off frame.
This is the look that Junior Flemings gets you. And Gabe Robinson and the entire back line of Las Vegas Lights have not seen it before. Notice Javantor as he rotates back over here, flat-footed by the right center back, just brings it back across the body. If Junior Flemings catches this square, this is in the back of the net. Just comes across it the tiniest of bits. And TKO able to get a push to the side.
Phoenix push the pedal down now. Corner for the rising. Olsen caught it. He's undercut by Farrell, who I think was pushed in the process. Farrell's trying to smooth this out with Olsen.
Junior Flemings just having a conversation as well, and this is nothing negative by Joey Farrell. You can see just loses his footing as there's a neighborly charge coming out of some of the boys in the black jerseys. It's always a fun one. Shove the forward into my goalkeeper, blame it on him. It wasn't me.
That was you for years. It's Para looking for a little more out of him. Ball struck across and lifted away. Souza was making that run. He's yet to score this year, but he's been quite aggressive. He grew up in Raleigh, played for NCFC's under 23s. Went on to France for a few years. Played for Eric Winalda in Atlanta.
If you're Las Vegas Lights, these are one of those opportunities I referenced earlier where you have to take advantage. Phoenix Rising starting to find out that they can stretch the game with Junior Flemings. If they grab a goal, they will sit even deeper on the defensive side of the ball.
Bobbled by Wazinski, he's got that.
You just have to do better there. As impressive as they've been before, you got to find a way to get that quick flick on the near post, have someone running behind it. Phoenix goes ahead, gets out in front by 1, this game will be over.
57th minute, Phoenix 18 straight wins. Jean, twice in the last 3 games, they've either come from behind or grabbed the win in the final 10 minutes. Hoping not to leave it that far this time around. Free kick.
To wonder why Sousa throws his body weight around here. I get it, there's a poor first touch by Kyle Bjornathan, but it's still within reach of the outside back. Those are some of the immature mistakes that you've seen out of this Lights team where you've done a good job. Okay, the ball's rotated back around, but it's all horizontal. They haven't been able to stretch you vertically from a threatening standpoint, so why not just stand them up? Allow yourself to push it away. Run down in the corner here if they want.
Aginaga puts it in play. And the lofted cross handled with ease. Maintained by Musa. There's an appeal for a handball. There it is. Of course, well outside the penalty area, but it is a great free kick opportunity. The last one you probably can't do much about. This most recent free kick. The one before that's the immature mistake. This is probably bad luck.
Still leads to this, though. If you don't make that mistake, you don't set yourself up to fail on this side of things. And yes, it's a ball bouncing up. You can't be a soothsayer knowing that it's going to come off your hand. But still, if you don't step in earlier, you don't lead to where we're sitting right now. A second opportunity in the matter of minutes for Phoenix Rising from a set piece.
Looking to grab the lead. Away to Cashman Field. Aginaga. It's going to be a Phoenix corner, and the pressure continues to mount.
The run that we saw from Solomon Asante in that comeback victory against Tacoma Defiance is not there on the near post. That's where he is always sitting.
Aginaga again. This will fall for the volley from Musa. All right, Preston's got room. There are 4 Lights players in pursuit. Can they find Parr off on the right-hand side? It'll drag him wider than he wanted. Para on the turn. Great recovery by Phoenix. And a bit poor in transition by Las Vegas at a critical moment. Good flighted ball. Preston making a run. Positive step by Ledbetter. Las Vegas, one of the lower scoring teams in the league, tied 15th in the wide open West. 35 goals. De La Fuente making the run this time. Rising up Souza. Preston! Right on the goal line, Wazinski. That was right at him.
Good chance for Las Vegas Lights here as the second ball gets whipped back across. Preston just waiting for this. Well done by Brian De La Fuente to put it all the way to the back post. And then it's just a two-man game. Preston has to do better. How about before that? We give a lot of credit at the top of the show to how this team plays out of the back, but defensive transition is what they really worked on earlier in the year. Felt like they had fallen behind in that situation. Multiple white jerseys shutting down the passing lanes for Las Vegas Lights in transition.
Souza swirls in across over the top of Torres. Para corrals it. Looks at Lambert. The back heel, a pleasant one to Rivas. Wazinski puts it back in play. Tune in to ESPN 3, potential Eastern Conference playoff preview on September 18th at 8 p.m. Eastern time. Got two of the league's top defenses, high-powered New York Red Bulls taking on St. Louis FC from the Lou. See it all September the 18th during Wednesday Night Soccer, only on ESPN 3. Cross early, falls to John! There's the goal for Phoenix! Is that number 19 in a row? Adam John. It just continues.
Cannot give them any sort of respite whatsoever. Pressure comes from every single angle. We talked about how deep this team is. This is their number 9. Their big focal point up top. You would think that when this ball's being whipped in, he would be on the tail end of it. But when you flip-flop sides from Junior Flemings and Joey Calistri, the back post run is actually coming from number 21, Joey Calistri. But the deflection finds number 9 for his 15th on the year, seeking their 19th straight victory.
Only 3 goals in the previous 8 games. One of those games a brace. Number 15 of the year for a guy with loads of MLS experience and a shutout clause in his contract. Victor Rojas came on as the goal was scored. And when Rivas comes off, well, Devin, you said it was over if Phoenix got the first goal of this game. Has Las Vegas done anything over the last 5-10 minutes to make you think otherwise?
They haven't done a single thing in the second half to make me think otherwise. Even when they have a chance to push into the final third, it's poor decision-making once again. I will say this, Rising have to be really careful of these long throws. They are really disciplined on them.
Musa met that at first. And a foul top of the penalty area from Para. Para's whipping Adam John's hand off his arm.
Some of the emotions we talked about. There's a jab in the back by, I think it was Gabe Robinson, and Javantori doing battle against James Musa. Irvin Para gets himself in trouble coming up over the back of Junior Flemings. just keep an eye here for Las Vegas Lights. Yes, you haven't done that much to make yourself relevant in terms of scoring, but you're still within one goal of a team that's one of the best, if not the best, in USL Championship history. 25 minutes to go, still within striking distance. Don't let that negative emotion overtake you. Another card, this time from Preston. We saw Irvin Parra really letting his feelings be known to Adam John a second ago. Don't let that take over this solid performance that you put in so far, at least on the defensive side.
Preston, one of those players out of the Rainbow FC group, the MFK Viscolf. Played in Charlotte briefly in 2017. That's his 6th yellow card. Earlier this year, he went to the bench for a game simply because Eric Winalda told us you can't miss 6 breakaways and play the next game. He's still looking to find his full scoring touch. He's after Wazinski. Lest we forget to tell you, Wazinski hasn't played since March. Zach Lubin has come in since those early season defensive struggles for the team and run away with the goalkeeping job.
When you break down the two of them, that's the one area. Now, both are amazing goalkeepers. That is the one area where Karl Wazinski is definitely in front of Zach Lubin. It's playing out of the back with his feet. And I get it, a second ago, he almost puts his team in trouble. But he is much more disciplined on the ball, can play with both his left and his right, and is able to spray it all over the pitch at a moment's notice, especially in one-touch situations such as you just saw.
John let that run across his body. He's the goal scorer back in the 62nd. Lest we forget that Phoenix isn't just trying to get a result here. The streak is about wins at this point. And so Las Vegas is still 1 goal away from some would probably call shocking. I think a lot of league observers wouldn't be totally blown away. Lambert slows it down, thought he had the run continuing. Devin, I'm at the point where I'm just assuming Phoenix can't go like this forever. I'm just picking against them a little bit every game because I'm going, it can't be 16, right? It can't be 18, right? You're getting closer and closer to the playoffs. I mean, how long can this thing go? I mean, I think everyone's genuinely starting to ask that question.
I'll be real curious to see. Obviously, there's work to be done here in the upcoming matches, but that September 28th matchup.
All lofted through.
At Isotopes Park against New Mexico United.
Second service, still nothing there. Mexico's finally found their form again after a bit of a slog after the Open Cup. Torres knocks it out. But the longer this goes, even the coaching staff will admit, guys that usually run 12 kilometers might go 13. You just use that little extra juice.
Or more importantly, it's the pressure of winning. And this is a direct quote from Rick Schantz. The pressure of winning has subsided. Now it's just a drive to succeed that's overtaken you. So it's not necessarily going out and beating every single team out there. It's doing it in an impressive way. It's getting better as an individual. It's looking at the guy next to you, seeing what you're made of, and every single time you step onto the pitch, can we go get a result? Again, 3 points is great, but when you do it in an impressive fashion, that's what they're looking for. That's the biggest difference, and we talked about this earlier, between Phoenix Rising in 2019 and FC Cincinnati of 2018. I'm sure the Bailey and everybody's gonna come running after me, but I promise you, if you sit down and break down the tape, this team is better.
Right now, I think they can make that argument against most every great team in league history. We talked about it on Wednesday Night Soccer a few weeks ago. You think about Red Bulls too in 2015, a couple national teamers, handful of guys that have gone on to international careers beyond the United States or with Red Bulls and MLS. Think about Rochester, that ragtag bunch of defenders for Bob Lilly. Think about Cincinnati and how good they were. Louisville over the last 2 years, back-to-back cup winners. Where Phoenix stands among all that, that's for Reddit to decide. Hey fans, you can continue to enjoy the USL on ESPN through 2022. USL excited to announce that the championship in League One remain with the leader in sports 3 more years. ESPN Plus continues to be the home of all things USL, and at least 19 games a year featured on the ESPN family of networks, including 9 on ESPN Deportes. Continue to follow, support, and watch your club, ESPN and ESPN Plus. That's lobbed into no man's land. Is that 19 times Devin and I get together next year for Wednesday Night Soccer? I'm giddy.
Still on the Reddit comment. That's gold.
Someone somewhere is like, yeah, I'm going to start that thread now. I got pulled into some Reddit junk this week. My good friends. Lambert. There was an executive I won't name who I mentioned, hey, is it okay if I'm around the USL subreddit? That all right? He goes, what's Reddit? I'm like, I think we're cool. John Lambert. Good slide there. Fuente leading it forward. There's a runner out there. It's behind Souza. They've got numbers following up. Slipped that by Fair. Flag is up. Offside on Para.
Arvin Para wanted this ball earlier, and he's not wrong. He can't delay this run anymore based upon the space that opened up between Bjornathan on that long touch and Duichi Mala. It's a great run, but has to be released sooner by the midfield. We have seen Phoenix Rising have a couple of these, not necessarily eked out, but 1-goal games. The match back on July 27th, Tulsa Roughnecks, when they went down to 10 men, comes to mind. Also the match we talked about, so the brilliant play by Phoenix Rising coming off the back line. 1-0 at HEB Park on July 13th.
HEB Park, what's the motto there?
Where dreams go to die. It is hard to get a result there.
It's borderline impossible to come out of there without some dream being killed, yes. Home to the Rio Grande Valley FC Toros, hybrid affiliate of the Houston Dynamo. Way out.
At this rate, unless you're looking to add some load management into the likes of Solomon Asante, I don't see him coming on. You've got Joey Kalishri and Junior Flemings. Kalishri looks like he still has plenty in the tank, as Irvin Para trying to pull himself up from the bottom of the tank. And give him a night off. Let him breathe, at least for now. 17 to go. Seems that they're starting to turn the wheels a bit more than we saw in the first half.
See Mala on the near side of your screen. He picked up a knock a couple moments ago. A shudder of that right eye there. Kara gets back to work. Done by Wazinski. Hart just trying to get him. As a goalkeeper, you don't really get fit necessarily. It's not a number of kilometers run. It's just you need game action.
They get a couple reps in the Open Cup, though that run didn't last very long, as New Mexico United handed Phoenix Rising their early exit.
Vegas didn't go the furthest, though. I think they may have had the most interesting cup run of anyone, given who they played. Orange County FC, Paul Caligiuri. I think that still probably weighs on Eric Winalda just a tidge. and Cal FC, his former club. Wazinski baiting everybody in at the feet of Aginaga, who's come all the way back.
I'll get it. That's just one of the ones where when you don't play this initial ball down under the touchline, Aginaga had rotated back over. Just get rid of it.
Well,
knock it down the field and reset.
Devin, this is basically, it's not a corner, but with a long
Close
throw
enough.
that they have.
Yep. Gabe Robinson beyond dangerous with this long throw in the air. And when you've got Jobin Torre, Brian De La Fuente, those are two big target pieces you can go after here.
Quarter of an hour to go. Does Vegas find their equalizer this way? Right onto the foot of Torres, who lofts the cross, header, steered aside. Did have De La Fuente right on the goal line. Best chance for Vegas in this game came that way. Set piece and a header down from inside the 6.
It's again a bit of hesitation by Carl Wazinski to not come off his line. We don't have the liberty of knowing what the shout was, but that was in that gray area where sometimes you'll see a goalkeeper come and really be that imposing figure. Wasn't the case.
Robinson again. John, excellent. Calistri. Preston on the run. Calistri's turned the corner. And Preston went on the inside and won it back. I'll say this, you and I mentioned at the outset of the second half how well Fleming's had used his speed in the first 5 minutes to put additional pressure on Las Vegas. Vegas really hasn't allowed speed to beat them in the second half, in part because of the way they've stylistically gone about this.
They're gambling right now as well, what they've done, and we've seen this before. They've taken number 5, Jobin Torre. They'll push him high, especially coming off the set pieces. Christian Torres is a guy that yells to Eric Ronaldo every single week, I want to play in the middle, I want to play in the middle. He says, look, you quit making mistakes and I'll let you. He finally stopped, so he moved him into the center midfielding position over the past few games. He gets another chance tonight, but now he's gone to the back line. They're playing with 3 right now, and they've rotated Jobin Torre for a higher piece up top to maybe see if they can look vertically to get a game-tying goal.
Musa there after Fair's cross was claimed, and Calistri has Fleming's making a darting run. Didn't get all the way there, but it's knocked back across where John will usher it out for a corner. You think back to John's goal, a little lack of luck there from Vegas on their clearance, fell right to him. In this instance, nearly found John perfectly on the run.
A bit of luck, but still in the run of play for a guy who can't necessarily turn on a dime in Adam John. He shouldn't have the luxury of dropping off, being able to track back to the ball, turn, and hit that. That's the defensive transition that's been lacking for Las Vegas Lights compared to what you see out of Phoenix Rising, where when there's the turn and the step, you have to immediately push your line forward. And also, the trailing runs coming back for the midfielders, where were they at?
Corner coming. Olsen! Oh, he totally butchered that. And Calistri nearly poked it home. Pardon Farrell. Have to do better there. That was nearly a TKO for LVL.
Just a little touch on it, and Joey Farrell, just a quick little left foot. Where does it come off of? The left leg and the outstretched hand of Thomas Olsen. Joey Farrell felt like he had an easy one on the doorstep.
Aginaga, second effort here for Phoenix. Musa. Phoenix using tonight to rotate heavily. Well aware of the rigors at the back end of their season. 18 straight wins. It's a number that appears destined to continue. Insurance goal would go a long way. Dribble between the legs of Flemings. Foul from Victor Rojas.
Got to give credit to Rising in that situation where they have remained true throughout this entire process, not just the evolution in terms of play, but their willingness to let each and every person within this squad have a go at a starting position. There's a good look at Austin Ledbetter, who's, as we mentioned before, come in for Dumbuya. Bjornathan in the left back position behind Amadou Dia, Jamala, Joey Farrell. They're regularly in rotation. This time it comes from AJ Cochran and Corey Whelan, as you see some beautiful skill by Aguinaga. He'll now step away. And it would be real simple to just say they won, they step up again, let them have another go. That's not the case of what they've done. On the reverse for Las Vegas Lights, one thing that you might criticize a bit is their massive amount of rotation, their inability to find a regular philosophy. Asked Eric Winaldo about that and said, listen, you hear guys talk about culture and what they want this to look like. What does this look like compared to where you want to be? And that goes to what you referenced a little bit, where it's maybe we can't play as much as I'd like to. Maybe guys can't do as much as I'd like them to do. And that's why their results hasn't necessarily gone their way on a regular basis.
Steered away, Aguinaga on the service yet again, and Rojas plays it forward toward Preston, who ran into Farrell. They're just trying to find the right way to balance. The club expects to win in the long term. They expect to win now. But ultimately, the ownership and Brett Lashbrook so well aware of the city they're in, trying to engage the fan base in unique ways, and they've certainly done that. Goes far beyond a dollar beer night. Not that that's all that Phoenix has brought to the table. Villarreal for De La Fuente. Obvious attacking substitution here late in the game. These are two teams that probably connect with their fans as well as anybody, but the way they go about it is drastically different. And their results on the field have been pretty drastically different as well over the last 2 years.
Eric Winaldo just pulling the strings one last time. You can see that Christian Torres has moved into the left back position. Vinny Vermeer will operate all by his lonesome in the middle. Irvin Parr dropping deeper, and that's where you're going to get the look up top where Jobin Torre will be that main vertical threat where he referenced, but Villarreal will now come alongside Preston to try and separate things a little bit, at least in terms of pace.
Farrell. Wednesday night soccer turning into the final 7 minutes before stoppage time. Looks like the story is going to remain the same. Vegas looking to have a late twist here. Rojas. Swipe from Wazinski, never made contact. Change here, we were wondering if we'd see him. Here's Solomon Asante. He has 7 more goals and 5 more assists than he had last year, and he was an MVP candidate then.
Could probably stop it right now and give it to him.
I think, yeah, the fight's over. Asante's adoring faithful there. You see in the middle right side of your screen, 2 off the right in the front row. It's the first family, I suppose, of Phoenix Rising.
Monica McPherson with her
trusted
sidekick. That's something impressive. John McPherson just to her right. Inside 10 minutes to go, Rick Shantz electing to go to the bench and give him a run out. Why not, especially with the tactical shift out of Eric Ronaldo's crew. One quick ball down in and you can grab yourself a second one.
Asante, Ghanaian international, who's actually won the African Champions League previously. Well, he was paired with the former head coach of Phoenix Rising, Patrice Cartaron. Well, here's Phoenix trying to get at this discombobulated Las Vegas line. The fans adding a little extra smoke to the equation. Perhaps trying to make it a little more difficult to play through. Flipped up by Mala. Villarreal trying to win it off Aguinaga. Aguinaga got bailed out. Take their time now. Rolled into Bjornathan. Musa did well to win that back. Asante. Asante. I don't care how much he stretches. Sousa was never going to get to that.
With all the movement we've seen out of Las Vegas Light so far. This is some of those areas that I was talking about earlier where they're just starting to get away from their game. And I understand it's desperation time, but at the same thing, you got here for a reason. And it was your ability to sit, hold serve, and try and go the other direction. I know you're goal hunting, but you've shown over the course of the season that when you get away from your bread and butter, that hasn't necessarily suited you, so why follow the same route now? 10 minutes to go. You can add an attacker going forward, yes, but their ability to put the ball on the deck and knock it back and forth is nowhere near what we saw in the stretch from about the 65th, 75th minute. Yes, Phoenix definitely turned it up a touch, but now you're just seeing a lot of long balls, and all the second chance opportunities are being chased down by Rising players.
Finally, Las Vegas has strung a few passes together, but they haven't gotten more than 30 yards from their own goal. With a positive touch now in a few minutes. Olsen bounces through. Villarreal goes into the back of Farrell. I think he felt he'd been tugged by Mala in the lead up to that. Yellow card comes out.
Definitely wrong. From behind on Joey Farrell through the legs. I left the point. I got the ball. Yeah, well, got the better portion of a femur as well.
Villarreal went into the book on that previous foul. Aguinaga. John. It's like a Scooby-Doo mystery right now. Eerie feeling. Smoke billowing out. This is the precursor to something. Preston Para. This does look somewhat promising. Deflects, Preston. Sends it out wide. Shot back across and out from Fair. Just not many more times Vegas is going to get a look that good.
Irvin Parr is asking for this ball on the back post. I'm not necessarily sure they could even reach him. 3 runners from Phoenix Rising. Carl Wazinski closing the passing lane down. I don't mind the look whatsoever. I get it. Hits it with his instep and pushes it wide. This is where you just lean over, put your laces on this ball, and go after the 8x8. And Parr is definitely not getting this one. Put your head down, follow form. See if you can at least challenge Carl Wazinski, even if on the first one, maybe he'll give up a secondary chance.
Lambert collides with Villarreal.
And this is the things that we talked about. We're down the stretch. There's no need for him to step in there, especially because he's sitting on a yellow card. And you get Irvin Parra once again walking by Adam John. Like, just walk away, get back to it. You're wasting time to go and grab an equalizer.
4th official has the board. He's going to show what we already know. It's going to be 3 added minutes. Trainer coming out. Lambert's grabbing up on his left-hand side. Let's see if the 4th official changes what we had heard previously. Plan was 3. Sounds like he's just alerted us it's going to be 4. There's a little 4 flashing there on the back of the board. Covelin Lambert, one of the rising stars in this league. Enjoy him while he's around. Meteoric rise. Trialed at West Ham once upon a time. Came out of Montego Bay United. Made the Gold Cup in 2017 with Jamaica. And that's where Didier Drogba and a fair number of Phoenix players were off watching the game. Saw him, acquired him shortly thereafter. Flemings. This is with Las Vegas. 2.5 more minutes to go at least.
Excuse me. You're gonna have to go down.
Every coach in the league I've spoken to over the last month has wanted their lick at Phoenix. Las Vegas is 2 minutes away from coming up short. Rising a national soccer story, 18 straight wins, the Dollar Beer Night Madness. Free kick, Las Vegas in the final third, won by Gioventore.
This is a mistake by Jose Aguinaga. Anytime you undercut someone, you're going to get in trouble, especially when your momentum is pushing against Gioventore. Trying to go straight up here, Aguinaga tries to just park the bus underneath them, can't do that. You got a couple really dangerous threats here if you want to have a go. Preston, Irvin Parra, Villarreal, all thinking that they might have a say here, and those are just ones that are on the field at this point in time.
Ramon Howell waiting to come on for Phoenix. I mean, my gosh, if this is how this ends.
Right around 26, 27 yards. Just a quick guess in on my account. Upper left corner will be where he's looking.
And he does strike for there. Wazinski pulls it in. Is that enough for Phoenix to carry 3 points home? Great effort on target by Preston.
The problem you run into in situations such as this is you had an area where you got to put enough whip on it to challenge the goalkeeper. You have to keep him guessing with the wall. But the amount of pace you need behind the ball as well, a deadly combination that not many have in the bag.
Robinson charging, Wazinski holding on. He gave up 8 goals in 3 starts at the start of the year. He's waited a long time to get another look. Referee's gonna let this play out just a little bit longer. There was an injury at the outset of stoppage time. Lambert, Asante, slid off. Goes Rojas. Surely this must be it for Las Vegas. Bypassing Musa. Preston turning on the Jets. Slides down under the pressure of Ledbetter. Chance to cross is cleared. Referee looks at his watch. It's 19 in a row for Phoenix. Away to Las Vegas. They've done a job again and keep the streak alive. Las Vegas takes Phoenix all the way to the end. And they just keep rising with one of the most genuinely remarkable stories in the history of the USL Championship.
Remember that not only is it this beautiful run of form, but they did an environment that only 2 other teams have been able to replicate. Energy FC and last week, El Paso Locomotive. You don't want to say the issue was never in doubt, but for a team that seems to pick their moments down the stretch and really figure out how to break teams down, credit to Phoenix Rising in the second half. Adjustments made, executed perfectly.
Phoenix has no hangover. They just keep continuing on, a 1-0 win. We'll wrap it up after this.
Again, with these Richard Jensen, the video board, with head coach Eric without a hair, is compliment. Very good team. Here's your thoughts.
First of all, I'd like to congratulate Phoenix Rising. This is an amazing season that they are having. It's 19 games in a row. It's not very often that you see the team accomplish that. Hats off to them. It's so hard. It's so hard as a team to continue to bring that kind of excellence. They did it again tonight, so let's be classy. Let's clap for Phoenix Rising. Now go beat up on all the other teams that we try to get in the playoffs. All right, boys? Figure that out? I think there's a lot of opportunities for us tonight.
Too late now.
It really was. As good as these guys are, I think we're
Well, Adam John climbing over the railing, back to the dressing room. He's got the game-winning goal in this one. And as mentioned before the break, I would have blamed Phoenix if this was the hangover part 3. Alas, it's not. Las Vegas falls short on Wednesday Night Soccer. Here we go. Wednesday Night Soccer, full-time highlights with Devin Kerr, Mike Watts. Phoenix getting into the attack here through Austin Ledbetter on the right-hand side. And Lambert nearly the goal of the year.
Austin Ledbetter has showed me a lot on the defensive side of things, where his progression has come from as a professional. Yes, I understand he spent time under Anthony Pulis in St. Louis FC, but this system fits him better. Offensively, gave us a couple glimpses tonight, not only on the chance by Lambert, but his ability to spray things back and forth like that. This guy changed it. Came in, sped things up. You started to see one-on-one opportunities start to unfold for Phoenix Rising. And then how are they going to get the breakthrough? Was the deadlock going to come from one of their substitutes? We didn't see out of Jason Johnson in his start, and it came from not an unknowingly spot, just interesting how it played out, how you expect this ball being whipped in. Adam John's going to be in the tail end of it, right? He is, but it's off a deflection at the top of the 18, left foot bottom corner, 62nd minute. Phoenix get 19 in a row, and they've done it in some really impressive venues. No shortage to Cashman Field. This is a place that it's very difficult to come play. They would have a couple opportunities down the stretch. I did say about Las Vegas Lights, I would have liked to have seen them stick to their big guns. Sit compact defensively, try and pick some chances down the stretch. I thought when they tried to open themselves up a little bit, you expose yourself to the opportunity of a second goal, and they didn't necessarily provide themselves enough chances to go get the equalizer.
Truth of the matter is, the statistics show not that Las Vegas was necessarily dominated, but rather that they executed their game plan for the majority of this game and still did come up short.
Think about the decision making in the first half where these guys had a chance to lay off that one pass, take a different touch, put it down in the corner and whip one in, and that just wasn't the case. When you play a team that's firing on all cylinders like Phoenix Rising, you have to make sure that your efficiency rate is at an all-time high. It just wasn't there tonight for Las Vegas Lights.
Well, I've got Red Bulls 2, the leader in the East, taking on St. Louis next Wednesday night, ESPN 3 for Wednesday Night Soccer. It's been real, it's been fun for this llama. It's been real fun. Las Vegas, the lights turned out by a Phoenix side that simply refuses to lose or draw. For producer Ava Ponte, director Gage Tillotson, Eric Falero, Anna Reyes, our entire Vista WorldLink team, and Devin Kerr alongside Rick Schantz and the Rising. Keep it alive. Thanks for being with us for Wednesday Night Soccer, 19 in a row. Rising 1, Lights 0. Good night.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League Championship cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League Championship.